Huckabee, former Arkansas governor, Wisconsin Congressman Bryan Steil, and Horse Cooper, Project 21 chairman, and author of the forthcoming book, Put You All Back in Chains. All right, Governor. It's good to see you all, by the way, and hope you had a great Thanksgiving. But, Governor, what's happening here? Why are there so many shortages?
Well, what we really have is we have a shortage of informed voters. So the voters keep electing these same people who give us policies that result in shortages. And I don't know how that's going to change as long as we have an incredibly dishonest news media that refuses to tell an objective and balanced sense of the truth. And so they honestly think maybe Joe Biden's doing a great job because the media says that he's doing a great job. The fact that he can't put a sentence together or walk off the stage without somebody coming and guiding him by the arm is totally missed by most of the people. And it is a shortage of good information on the part of voters.
No, I think it's a really good point, Congressman. Here's what concerns me. These are really good paying jobs, and you have people that aren't filling them. Is this an education issue, or is this an issue that's coming from Congress where people are being paid to stay at home? But this is almost un-American. We've never had this issue in our past. What's going on here?
Well, this is where so many people, we want to get our economy, we want to get our country back on track. The good news is we're going to be able to take the Speaker's gavel away from Nancy Pelosi on January 3rd. We can control the reckless spending, and we can help get workers back to work. That's one of the big things that's driving this shortage is the labor policies that we have that have found too many people still sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Horace, what's your take here? What do we need to do to address this issue? Because it doesn't just stop there. There's another shortage I didn't even mention. It's forensic pathologists. Roughly 750 are working full-time, but about twice as many are needed to cope with the rising caseloads due to growing number of drug overdose deaths, rising violent crime, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, Biden's policies on crime and COVID are clearly making this particular shortage even worse.
Michael Dukakis once said, the fish rots from the head first. This administration is falling for every woke solution, and they get lauded in the media while ignoring all of the more important issues. I'll give you the supply chain problem is rampant across the board. A quick example. I went looking for some envelopes. I wanted the window on the right side instead of the left side. 4 different places that I went to, and they said they were out. There's a shortage. We have a problem where this administration had paid too many people to stay home and threatens to punish the people that want to produce and the people that work.
I mean, anyone who shops, whether you go to a grocery store, you go to a drugstore, you see bare shelves that you've never seen in the history of the country. But I want to move on because I'm going to go to the governor here. Biden yesterday used a recent tragedy as a way to push his gun grab. Take a watch.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. It's just sick. It has no social redeeming value. Zero, none. Not a single solitary rationale for it.
Governor, you have a tragedy here, and now you have Joe Biden pushing an assault weapons ban. I mean, what do you say to the president who's using this kind of a tragedy for political gain?
It's a horrible tragedy, but the president's not helping any by his utter ignorance of firearms. The semi-automatic's been around for more than 100 years. Many of us who are hunters, as am I, we duck hunt with semi-automatic shotguns. We turkey hunt with semi-automatic weapons. And quite frankly, we protect our homes with semi-automatic handguns. A semi-automatic is not some exotic technical firearm device. It's a simple device. It's been around, as I said, for over 100 years. And most people who have firearms in their home most likely have at least one semi-automatic. For him to say that there's no rational reason to have one is really more truth of saying there's no rational reason that Joe Biden should still be president.
Right. You know what? And he's a guy who is protected by guys with a lot of semi-automatic firearms to keep him safe. You can't have one yourself. But Congressman, what do you think? This is going to be a tight majority for Republicans in the House. Can a bill like this pass with a Republican majority, Kevin McCarthy's leadership?
No, you're not going to see the Republican majority coming and banning things like semi-automatic guns. This is gun deer season in Wisconsin, as you know, Sean. I'd venture to say over half the deer season hunters that are out there right now are with semi-automatic guns, you're not going to see Republicans in Congress move to restrict reasonable guns across our country.
Someone in Wisconsin called that Holy Week is hunting season. You're right. So, Horace, I want to move on to retirement plans because the Biden administration is doubling down on the ESG scam, changing a rule that will make it easier for retirement plans to invest in so-called socially responsible funds and companies. The rule covers plans that collectively invest $12 trillion. Horace, how is the left injecting their agenda now into our retirement plans?
Look, we need to start calling this the cat food plan. The money that you've been working for years, if not decades, to set aside so that when you retire, you can live a decent and pleasant life is going to be snatched right out of your hands, and now you'll be given the opportunity to buy cat food. Of course, if the supply chain makes it available. This is what this president has done. Now, the positive development is this. On the last election, millions more Americans actually voted for freedom, for liberty, for self-government and personal responsibility. The media hasn't told us that, but if this trend continues, blacks, whites, and browns voting millions more in favor of freedom, we can unshackle ourselves from this president who has the reverse Midas touch.
You know, Congressman, you serve on the Financial Services Committee, and, you know, we already have had, folks' retirement plans crushed by this market. I hope that the committee is going to take a look into, whether funds are giving return on investments for retirees potentially, or this ESG issue. Is that something that the committee will look at?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. We need to have proper oversight, in particular over the Securities and Exchange Commission. Chairman Gensler has come before the Financial Services Committee 0 times in the last 2 years. We got a lot of questions that we need to be asking to make sure that the Securities and Exchange Commission isn't driving a woke agenda. We're going to see the tables turn, an opportunity for real oversight over the Biden administration starting January 3rd.
I hope so. Panel, thanks for joining me. Have a great night.